Hello and welcome to Eyes on Research, the podcast that digests the latest scientific innovations in eye research using simple and understandable terms. I am your host, Thales Guimarães, medical doctor and clinician scientist at Moorfields Eye Hospital. Welcome to another episode of this podcast. We have all heard about the blue light blocking lenses, right? There's quite a bit of buzz going on right now. It's marketed to reduce eye strain and improve the sleeping pattern of people who spend a lot of time on their phones or looking at computer screens. They are even marketed to potentially confer protection from retinal phototoxicity, which means the light damage to the retina induced by heat, mechanical, or photochemical effects. And hence they are thought to prevent progression of age-related macular degeneration, for example, which is an age-related disease that's associated with age and affects the retina. But the big question today is whether this is scientifically proven or is it just a myth? So, blue blocking lenses work by attenuating short wavelength light, which is in the blue spectrum. These lenses include spectacles and intraocular lenses, which are lenses that are implanted inside the eye when patients have cataract surgery, right? So the benefits of using this type of lenses are not really well understood, but it is marketed to offer beneficial protection to the eyes. The reason being because blue light is a short wavelength, meaning that it penetrates the eye rather quickly. Research has shown that extensive exposure can cause damage to the eyes, in addition to disrupting a person's circadian rhythm by affecting a gland named the pineal gland. Now, this gland is responsible for producing melatonin, a hormone that modulates sleep patterns. And that's how we got this correlation with sleep, because it would affect this gland, would affect the production of melatonin, and it would dysregulate the sleeping patterns. Now, and this is the first thing we need to say about this, the way that the science enterprise works is that you need to show evidence of your claims. The more extraordinary that your claims are, the more extraordinary evidence that you need, right? Science doesn't really care to what anyone says or anyone thinks. And that's because if you provide strong data that backs up your claims, and if it has been proven to be reliable and tested over and over again in multiple studies, we can infer significant correlations between causality and effect. The highest level of evidence that we can have, and it has really shaped, much of the things that we doctors do. These are called randomized clinical trials. What this term means is that you are taking steps to assign patients by chance to groups that receive different treatments, and you're testing these different treatments, or you're comparing them with sham, placebo. After you have all of this data and you have multiple randomized control trials, you can do larger systematic reviews where you put all the information from different studies or different clinical trials and you put everything together. We call these systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Now, well-done systematic reviews are generally thought to provide the best evidence for all types of questions, as they are 100% based on the findings of multiple randomized clinical control trials. That means you have much evidence saying the same thing over and over again. That's a very high level of evidence, right? So this is the basic to understand what we're going to talk about now. Where do we stand with blue light blocking lenses? There were plenty of systematic reviews done for this topic. The truth is, there's a lack of consistent evidence for a larger scale introduction of these lenses in the clinical practice. And this is the same finding for systematic reviews looking at multiple randomized controlled trials in 2017, 2020, 2023, these all found the same thing. Blue light filtering lenses may not attenuate symptoms of eye strain with computer use over a short-term follow-up period. This is one of the limitations. Most studies were short-term. This translates to, if based on the best available evidence that we have to date provided on these systematic reviews, is that there's probably little to no effect of blue light filtering lenses on vision compared with non-blue light filtering lenses. Similarly, the effects on sleep quality, sleep patterns, they were not possible to be assessed. Other things like melatonin levels, retinal health, contrast sensitivity, color discrimination, no evidence whatsoever as well coming from these clinical trials. This is not to say that there's no benefit or no beneficial effect of using blue light filtering lenses. You see, that's the beauty of science. As new information becomes available, we increase our knowledge. Think, for instance, and that's one of the major things that come to my mind right now, but think of how Isaac Newton developed the theory of gravity and how he did not allow scientists to predict some events in some sections of the universe. And then comes Einstein with his theory of relativity. So these are things that add up nicely. It may as well be that in the future, there's a strong or very strong evidence in favor of using blue light filtering lenses. But for the time being, it's not looking good for them. The findings of most research studies do not support the prescription of blue light filtering lenses. Hence, we need higher quality randomized clinical trials to clearly define the effects of these lenses on visual performance, sleep patterns, eye strain, and retinal health. If the doctors are really practicing evidence-based medicine, it's very hard to justify prescribing blue light filtering lenses now. The number one, just to give you a different perspective, the number one most likely reason that people have eyes that are irritated, tired, or uncomfortable is most likely because their eyes are dry. So it's dry eyes most of the times. We use something that was suggested by the American Academy of Ophthalmology, which is the 20-20-20 rule. That means that for every 20 minutes looking at computer screens or phones, you can shift your eyes to look at an object that is at least 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. By the way, for those of us who use the metric system, 20 feet is 6 meters. You can also sit at an arm's length from the computer screen, because that will put you a little bit further than what we're used to. And reduce screen glare, for example, by using a matte screen filter. If at any point your eyes feel dry, what you can do is use artificial tears. You can even put these artificial tears in the fridge. And when you put that in your eyes, the cold of the artificial tears will also relax your eyes a little bit. And the lubricants will make your eyes more hydrated. And of course, if you need these drops daily, I would always recommend looking for a doctor, as he'll be able to prescribe the adequate treatment that you need at that time. Thank you for listening to me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode of this scientifically based podcast.